Hey scientists, it's Jessica Power at Kansas City Public Schools, one of the science curriculum coordinators. Scientists, we've worked really hard the last several weeks learning about different things in science. We've learned about energy, we've learned about the sun's effects on surfaces, we've learned about plants and plant parts, we've learned about force and motion, and we've also learned about inherited traits. Well, we are really close to Halloween. It's only a few days away. And Halloween is kind of one of those times of the year where there's all sorts of like fun, interesting, sometimes creepy things that can happen. And so I thought it would be a really awesome time for us to kind of take a little break from what we've been learning in school and do a fun activity that you can do at home. And it only includes a couple ingredients. So scientists, we're gonna make today an at-home, do-it-yourself lava lamp. Now, if you don't know what a lava lamp is, I'm gonna paint a picture for you of what a lava lamp is. A lava lamp is about this tall, and the base of it has a light, just like a light bulb. And that light bulb gets turned on. It gets plugged into the wall, turned on. Now, sitting on top of that light bulb is a big jar, kind of like a tube, that's filled with two things. The first thing it's filled with is water, and the second thing that's inside of it is different colors. Every lava lamp's a different color, but different colored substance. And that substance is a lot like Play-Doh. You know what Play-Doh feels like, what it looks like? Yeah. Well, scientists, as that light bulb heats up the glass jar with the water and the substance in it that's like Play-Doh, that colored substance, like Play-Doh, starts to rise up to the top of the lava lamp. And then after a little while, it comes back down. And it has everything to do with the light bulb. The warmer that the colored material or substance becomes, the lighter it becomes and causes it to rise up. And scientists, as that substance sits at the top of the lava lamp, it starts to cool. And as it cools, it falls back down to the bottom. And then the light heats it back up, and it goes back up to the top, and then comes back down. And it does that with like little bubbles of this substance. So we're not gonna create something that plugs into the wall, scientists, that uses a light bulb, but we're gonna use some common household things. First thing we're gonna use is water. The other thing we're gonna use is vegetable oil. And the third thing that we need is Alka-Seltzer tablets. Now, Alka-Seltzer tablets tend to fizz. So if you put them in water, they just cause the water to fizz. They're effervescent is that word. And then people typically will take Alka-Seltzer if they have like heartburn or their stomach's kind of upset to help settle it. Well, these little fizzy tablets, scientists, are going to help us create those bubbles for our lava lamp today. So let's get started making this. And again, you can do this at home if you have these materials. So, first thing, I'm just gonna get a glass. You could use like an empty bottle if you wanted to, like a Gatorade bottle or soda bottle. Either one works. And in my glass, I am going to fill it up most of the way with vegetable oil. Okay. Oil is slippery. Now, since it's Halloween, I'm not gonna just add clear water. I'm gonna put a color in it. Halloween makes me think of green for some reason. I know that we usually think of pumpkins and orange, but I always think of green. I don't know. I'm gonna stir this around, get the color all mixed in here. We'll add a couple more drops just to make it a darker green. Okay. Stir that up. There we go. Okay. Now scientists, I'm just gonna pour a tiny bit of water into our cup of oil. let's take a look at what's going on right now. Scientists, do you see something interesting happening here? I do too. I see that the water and the oil are completely separated. Do you see that? Now, oil and water, they don't mix. I could stir this around all I wanted, and the oil and water would still separate. Now, what's happening here, scientists, is that the oil is actually a lighter material or substance than the water. The water is heavier, so it sits on the bottom. If we were to add honey into this glass, that honey would actually sit below the water, so we'd have 3 different levels. Now I'm gonna add just a little bit more water. Not a lot, just a little. I'm gonna let it sit on the bottom. Okay. All right, so we have our water with green food coloring, and we have our oil. The last thing that we have to do is add our Alka-Seltzer tablet. So I'm gonna open this up. And then conveniently, I needed it in little pieces. So you have to break up the Alka-Seltzer tablet into small pieces. It's kind of chalky, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna drop them in. Now what you'll see start to happen are bubbles. So I'm gonna carefully pick this up, scientists. So do you see those green bubbles that are floating up to the top? What's happening is that the tablet we put in, the effervescent tablet or the Alka-Seltzer tablet, it's causing all these bubbles to occur. You know, like if you get a soda and all those bubbles that sit at the top of the soda, that's the same thing that's happening here. It's something called carbon dioxide. And as those bubbles rise to the top, they get caught in that oil. And that causes these green bubbles to be seen. And we can drop another tablet in if we want to. We can drop another tablet in. Drop these in. There we go. And again, you'll see those bubbles start to move. Isn't that cool? So you can think of it as like potions or something like that if you wanted to do something fun for Halloween at home. All it takes, scientists, again, is water, oil. Vegetable oil works great. If you have olive oil, any type of oil, that will work perfect too. Food coloring, so you can get colored bubbles. And then a Alka-Seltzer tablet. And you can make sure that you chop it up and then you drop it in. So a few weeks ago, scientists, we talked about properties of matter. We talked about physical properties. And remember when I poured the oil on top of the water and they stayed separate? Well, those are characteristics of physical properties. We said that the oil was lighter than the water, so it sat on top. That's a physical property of the oil. We also could have said that the oil was a yellow color, or the water was heavier, right? These are physical properties, ways that we can describe substances. Now you'll see that those bubbles will start to settle after a little while. And we can get that going again by just adding another tablet. So scientists, you have the opportunity to make a do-it-yourself lava lamp at home. I hope you're safe this Halloween. I hope you have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. And I'll see you back here next week.
Kindergarten is great at Kansas City Public Schools.
I know they have really good teachers. I know this is a great school.
They teach them stuff that I thought my kids would never be able to know at the age of 5.
Since deciding to send our kiddos to a neighborhood school, we've become even more of a part of our community.
Now is the time to enroll your future kindergartner for the new school year. Visit enrollkc.org today.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
Hey scientists, it's Jessica Power from Kansas State Public Schools, one of the science curriculum coordinators. Scientists, we are so close to Halloween, so I thought maybe we could take a break from talking about the things that we're currently learning in school, and we could do some science that is impacted with Halloween. So let me start with a story about me when I was a little girl. So every Halloween when we go trick-or-treating, my parents would always get me a glow stick. And then have me put that glow stick into my trick-or-treat container. That way I could be visible, right? Because it's dark outside. Well, scientists, when we would get home from trick-or-treating, my parents would take that glow stick and they'd put it in the freezer. And I always thought it was the weirdest thing because I liked the glow sticks. I wanted to have the glow stick with me. But they would put it in the freezer. Well, it wasn't until I was older that I learned why. And so scientists, today we're going to talk about why my parents used to put my glow sticks in the freezer. So you'll notice that in front of me today, I have 3 glasses. One is filled with ice. One is actually just room temperature water, so it's the same as the room. And then this other glass is currently empty. What I'm going to do is in this mug, I have just heated up this water, and you may be able to see that there's steam coming off of it, maybe not. This is really hot, like burn your mouth, burn your throat, burn your hands if it spills on you. So I'm just gonna carefully pour this hot water in this glass and put it down quickly so it doesn't burn my hand. And then next, scientist, I have 3 glow sticks. So what we are going to do today is we are going to determine how does temperature affect a glow stick. So let's talk a little bit about glow sticks. Whew, that's hot. Glow sticks are nothing more than a chemical reaction. So if you've ever looked inside of a glow stick very carefully, you may notice that there's a tube within this tube. So you'll see that there's this kind of colored liquid on the outside. And inside is a glass tube that's filled with another liquid. Now when these 2 liquids combine, they cause a chemical reaction, which means that we take one substance, we combine it with another substance, and it creates a brand new substance. If you've ever seen baking soda and vinegar mixed together, you have a white powder in a liquid, and they bubble, that's also an example of a chemical reaction. Well, one piece of evidence of a chemical reaction is that light is produced. So that means that light forms. So in order to get a glow stick to occur, the chemical reaction, we crack the glow stick, the glass, and then we shake it up. So I'm going to do that with all 3 glow sticks. Just 2 and 3. All right, so we have our glow sticks. Trying to get it all lit up. Now, we have 3 kinds of water: ice cold, room temperature, and very hot. Now scientists, what's happening with these glow sticks is there's energy, right? Okay, so we are seeing light energy come out of this chemical reaction. During chemical reactions, energy is key. So what we're gonna what we're gonna see is we're gonna make observations of the effects that the 3 temperatures have on the glow sticks. So you can see these 3 glow sticks. They're all bright and they're all shining, if you will, the same type of brightness. I am going to place the first glow stick in room temperature water. Now you may be wondering, why do we have room temperature water? Why don't we just have really cold and really hot? And scientists, to answer your question, every really good science experiment, any valid or right science experiment, has something called a control. And a control is something that stays the same. So right now, by putting the glow stick into the room temperature water, right, the temperature of the air around me, I am creating a constant. So that means that whatever happens in the hot water and whatever happens in the cold water, we can compare that to our constant to see how the effects of the temperature are happening. Second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop this glow stick into the really, really hot water. And the third thing I'm gonna do is drop this glow stick into the really cold water. And scientists, I'm gonna give this a second. And hopefully you're starting to see something happen. I'm gonna wait for a second. I already see something happening. Do you? So scientists, you may notice that our glow sticks are actually shining or producing a different amount of light. So you'll notice that the regular glow stick, right, the glow stick that we just put into the constant, the room temperature water, it hasn't really changed in its brightness of how it's glowing. It's constant. That means it's staying the same. Now let's do a really quick compare and contrast. If we compare the glow stick in the constant or the control, and we compare it to the glow stick that's in the really, really hot water, what do you notice? Which glow stick is glowing brightest? Yeah, the glow stick that's in the hot water. And you can see, grab them up here, you can see that clear difference. The glow stick that's in the hot water is glowing much brighter than the glow stick that's in the room temperature water. Now let's compare the glow stick in the room temperature water to the glow stick in the ice cold water. Do you see a difference? Which glow stick is brighter? If you set the glow stick in the room temperature water, that's right. So scientists, what we have here are 3 different glow sticks that are going through their chemical reactions at different speeds. I want you to think about wintertime and think about when it's really cold outside and you're really cold. It's a little bit harder to move when you're really cold, right? You just feel a little bit more stiff. Well, scientists, when our glow stick is in the ice water, it's actually causing the chemical reaction to slow down. Now, the chemical reaction will last as long as the glow stick is glowing. So once this glow stick stops glowing, the chemical reaction is over. So this one is our constant, it will stay the same. And this glow stick may glow for 2 days, we'll say. Now this glow stick, if we keep it in ice cold water or I put it in the freezer, this glow stick will actually glow for about 5 or 6 days. So glowing about 2 days, glowing about 5 or 6 days. Do you think the glow stick in the hot water is going to last as long as the glow stick in the room temperature? It's not. Scientists, this hot water is speeding up the chemical reaction. It's making those 2 liquids react faster. So while this glow stick is glowing the brightest right now, it actually will stop glowing faster than the other 2, simply because the temperature of the water is affecting how fast the chemical reaction occurs. Now we call this type of reaction chemiluminescence. That just means that we're using chemicals to cause illumination or light. So scientists, let's go back to the beginning. And I told you that story about when I was a little girl. And it's a true story, by the way. And I told you that my parents used to put my glow sticks in the freezer. And I was really confused. Well, scientists, now that we've done this test today and we've taken a look at how does the temperature affect a glow stick, why do you think my parents put the glow stick in the freezer? Yeah, if you said my parents put the glow stick in the freezer so that it would last longer, that's correct. Because we talked about, scientists, the longer or the colder the temperature the glow stick is exposed to, the slower that chemical reaction occurs. Now you want to see something kind of cool? Let's take this glow stick out of the cold water and let's actually put the glow stick in the hot water. What do you think is going to happen? Yeah, let's see. If you made a prediction that it's going to start glowing really bright as well, I'll turn that towards so you can see the difference. You'll start to notice that there is a change occurring in that glow stick that was in the cold water. You'll notice that the glow stick is now starting to burn or shine brighter. So the glow stick that was in the cold water is actually the one that's on the left. And you'll notice that it's actually now shining, or the reaction has sped up, so it's glowing as bright as the one that was in the hot water to begin with. Now we can play games with the glow sticks. We can take this glow stick out very carefully so we don't burn our fingers. And we can put it back in the cold water. And scientists, as that glow stick sits in the cold water, you'll notice that it slowly will become more and more dim. So scientists, Halloween, I think about glow sticks. I think about candy and I think about glow sticks. And so this is just a fun way to talk about how science is always around us and science is always impacting us. So if you get a chance to get some glow sticks this year, test them out. You can do this experiment at home. If you have 3 different glow sticks, they don't even have to be the same color. You can have different colored glow sticks. But get some hot water, get some room temperature water, get some ice water, and see how see how fast the glowing becomes bright or how dim the glowing occurs based on the temperature that the water is. And remember, it's all about the chemical reaction. It's either about speeding it up or slowing it down. And you'll see that our glow stick in the ice water is now back to being dim. So scientists, happy Halloween! I'll see you next week.
I chose manual because it's challenging and fun and it can help me with college.
I chose manual because I wanted to get a jump start in my career with culinary arts.
I chose manual to acquire skills I'd use in real life.
I chose manual because I want to be an ER doctor and be an EMT is my first step.
Kickstart your future today at Manual Career and Technical Center. Manual is open for all 11th and 12th grade students in both Kansas and Missouri. Learn more today at enrollkc.org/manual or call 816-418-5200.
Good morning and welcome to Kansas City Public Schools Homeroom. I am Erica Mabian, the iSpark STEM coordinator with the CT department. Today we are going to talk about upper elementary infection detectives. So get ready for some fun learning experience today. A case for our junior scientists. Alright, so today we're going to investigate how to protect ourselves from germs and keep us healthy. At a time right now, I think that's extra important that we are extreme scientists that can do our infectious detection. For today's experiment, you're going to need some black pepper, some liquid soap, 2 small bowls, and a cup of water. So So get ready, scientists. I'll give you some time to gather your things. All right, so the objective today is to identify the disease agent that's causing the stimulated diseases to have an outbreak. Then we're going to use our scientific thinking for your student to deduce the likely source to prevent that infection. Can you guess what maybe will prevent our infection based on the things that we have on the table for our experiment? Can you think that maybe you have some ideas that can help you stop or prevent the spread of infections? I bet you have some ideas. Let's get started, scientists. All right, first we need to be ready with our vocabulary words. Our vocabulary words will help us talk like scientists, think like scientists, and act like scientists. So here's our first word. Our first word is infection. And that is when germs get inside your body and they get more and more, they multiply, and then they make you sick. It starts with one teeny tiny germ and then they multiply. They just keep making bigger ones and more of them. Next we have a germ. A germ is a microorganism. Think so tiny that you can't even see it. And it makes a person sick. There are 4 major kinds of our microorganisms or our germs. There are bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protozoa. We're going to talk about just about one of those today. Then we have a communicable disease. Our communicable diseases are infectious diseases that can spread between people to people. Maybe you have a pet or an animal, or maybe you're on a farm. And it happens when you touch it, or it may be airborne. So whatever around it, it will cause you to become sick. Now, let's talk about germs. Where are germs? Here's some typical places that we may come in contact with germs or we may touch germs. On pencils, maybe you have a pencil. Sometimes people like to rest them in their mouth or hold them in their hand or put them behind their ear. And those are ways that we can touch the pencil and catch germs. Doorknobs. We all need to touch a doorknob to get inside, to close the door. And when we touch that, those germs are there. On shopping carts, I noticed that a lot of stores are cleaning our shopping carts to help us stay healthy. And door knobs for cabinets, drawers, things like that. Those are all places that are heavily touched that we can find that they may have germs. Now it's time for our experiment. Did you gather your things? If you didn't, just make a list and you can work this out with us at another time. So first, you need black pepper. So I've put a little bit of pepper in our bowl. I'm going to add a little bit more. If you have already ground pepper, that's fine too. You don't have to crush it, but you need a good dose of black pepper in your bowl, and that should be enough. Next, you need to put a small amount of water in your bowl so it kind of swims around. And next, you need a second bowl, and it needs soap. I've added a little bit of soap, but I'm going to add a little bit more because I want my fingers to be nice and clean. So the first part of our experiment is thinking of germs and them getting on us and how we can track them. We just talked about a few places where there are typical germs. So just pretend that we're going to touch a doorknob and our finger is going to be our whole hand, and we're going to put our finger in the bowl, and the pepper is going to be the germs. Do you think that you may know what would happen when we put our finger in the bowl with the black pepper? Well, let's try and see. So I'm going to put my finger in the bowl with the black pepper and find out what happens. I'm doing a simulation of touching germs. So when I pull my finger out of the bowl with the black pepper, I'm looking at it and I notice that I have lots of granules of pepper. There are so many that are on my finger, and some of them are like microorganisms. They're super small. And I'm looking on the front. I have some under my fingernails. I'm looking on the sides and the top. I have so many germs, or pretend germs, all over my finger. How do you think we're going to get those germs clean? Do you have an idea? Do you have a clue based on the things we have on the table? You're absolutely right. We're going to use the soap. When we wash our hands, it helps to get rid of the germs. So I'm going to take some time to put my germy finger in the bowl with the soap. And I'm going to swish off some of those germs. So now my finger's all covered with soap and it's ready to fight those germs. Do you think that our soap is a great germ fighter? It totally is. So now I'm going to take my soapy finger and I'm going to put it in the bowl with the germs. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think those germs are going to like that soap? Do you think they're going to stay and attract to the soap or detract from the soap? Are they going to try to run away? Or are they going to try to go to the soap? Let's see. Here we go. I'm going to put my finger with the soap in the bowl. And when I do, those germs get scared and they run away. I want you to try to do this experiment at your house and see what you come up with, and so that you can know if you are a super scientist and you can make those germs fly away super fast. I want you to try it. All right, let's keep going with our lesson. All right, so now it's our PLTW story time. Our story is going to be about some kids that are going to be infection detection scientists. Here we go. This is Sick Susie. Sick Susie is with her friends and she looks pretty sick. I noticed that she's coughing because she has her hand over her mouth. Some of her other symptoms are she said that she had a sore throat. She was with her friends and she told them that she didn't feel very well. She covered her cough when she coughed around her friends by using her hand. But guess what happened to that hand? Yes, it got germs on it. She used hand sanitizer to get rid of those germs, but she said she still wasn't feeling well. Then she went over to empathetic Angelina. When she was with Angelina, Angelina noticed that her friend felt so sick. She put her hand on Susie's head and then she noticed that she felt warm. It's possible she has a temperature. So empathetic Angelina encouraged Susie to go to the school nurse and tell her about her symptoms. So why should Angelina encourage her friend to go to the nurse? That's right, because the nurse helps us. The nurse helps us by doing some detection herself to find out what our symptoms are and how they can best help us. So she told the nurse that she felt warm. She told the nurse that she had been coughing and she had a sore throat, and last, she was tired. And then, mathematically speaking, Milo, he was there investigating the scenario, watching Susie and Angelina. And from that, he was thinking about all the people that may have been affected by Susie and her symptoms. So he's thinking in his head, in his speech bubble, and he's thinking about Angelina, and she had coughed, and maybe her germs had spread to the other people in their classrooms. So he's thinking about all the people around him in his classrooms who had the same symptoms. Maybe they were at school, or maybe they were not at school because they were still feeling those symptoms. And he was thinking, how should Milo and Angelina protect themselves from getting sick? Because they noticed that the friends around them were getting sick also. Can you think of some ways that they can protect themselves from getting sick? I'm wondering if we can make a list. How can we get rid of germs, or how can we keep the spread of germs? What are you thinking? I know, we could wash our hands correctly. So what are some ideas that we do to wash our hands correctly? I noticed that we can do a demonstration. Can you practice with me? Maybe you take some time to go in the bathroom or have a talk with your mom or dad. How's the correct way to wash our hands? All right, so When you get to the bathroom, here's what you do. First, you turn on the faucet. Then you get some soap. You rub that soap around your hands. You want to get it in between your fingers. You want to rub your fingernails together. You want to rub your wrists, the fronts, and the backs to make sure you get the soap nice and saturated around all the parts of your fingers. Rub in between your fingers, scrub your nails, scrub the beds of your hands. And I'm wondering if you could do it for a duration of the happy birthday song. But you're going to need to sing that happy birthday song 2 times. Or maybe you like to make up your own song about washing your hands to help you remember all the steps. So, after you finish washing your hands and singing for 2 times of the happy birthday song, then you're ready to turn off the faucet. But before you do, you want to grab your paper towel or your towel that you use at home and turn off the faucet so your hands stay clean. So then you turn the faucet off and you can finish drying your hands. But if you have a door, you want to use that paper to open the door so you don't get your hands contaminated. After you get the door open, you can throw that paper towel in the trash can so your hands stay clean. So let's go over that again. Washing our hands. Turn on the faucet. Get some soap. Wash all around your hands. Wash the insides. Wash the back sides. Don't forget your wrists. Wash in between your fingers and your fingernails. Your insides of your hand beds. The tops. And then you're ready to rinse. Make sure you rinse and get all of those soap bubbles off that you've done while you sing the happy birthday 1, 2 times. Or you can make up your own song. Grab a towel, turn off the faucet, then open the door with that towel, and then you're ready to toss the towel in the trash. That will make you a super scientist that knows how to get rid of germs and wash your hands correctly. All right, so let's have a quick review of all the things that we need to do in order to wash our hands. Let's think about how Milo and Angelina investigated to protect themselves, to keep the germs away, and to stay healthy. What are some things that you noticed? I noticed that Sick Susie, she first recognized the symptoms that she had to help her know whether or not she felt well. She felt tired. She felt that she had a sore throat. And she was coughing. Those are all things that were not her normal self. And she was able to tell a grown-up. Who was her helpful, empathetic friend? It was Angelina. That's right. Angelina helped encourage her to go to the nurse. When they got to the nurse, they were able to tell the nurse all about her symptoms so that she could get help. And then there was Milo, mathematical Milo. He was really thinking in his scientific way about how all the germs were spreading. He was thinking about the symptoms that people had that were in their classroom and how they had gotten sick. And then finally, the team worked together to decide on what was the best way to keep themselves from getting sick. So, for your homework, I'd like for you to conduct this experiment. For your experiment, let's go over the materials that you need. You need black pepper. It can be ground, or you can buy some that's just going to shake out. You'll need a bowl to put that pepper in. Once you get your pepper in your bowl, pour a little water so that it can swim around. The first part of your experiment, you're going to dip your finger in your pepper. It's going to be a simulation of you attracting germs. Once you get those germs, you want to investigate to see where the germs go. You should have germs all over your finger, in your fingernails, around the outside, and on the top. And you can really see how those microorganisms or those germs can be teeny tiny or larger. But those are things that we barely see with our natural eye. Next, you're going to clean your finger. It's your simulation of washing your hands. So you're going to take that germy finger with that pepper and place it in your soap and swish it around nice and good and clean up all those germs. Take that soapy finger, because it's ready to be a germ fighter, and stick it back into your bowl with your pepper and watch those germs scatter. They do not like that pepper at all. They don't like those germs. And then finally, you're going to wash your hands. Make sure you remember the steps to washing your hands so that you don't forget all the things you need to do so that it can keep all the germs away. Now, you're ready to be a germ fighter. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are a super scientist and can conduct this investigation. When you get done, show all of your family how you are a super scientist and we can fight those germs together. This has been Erica Mabian for Kansas City Public School KCPS Homeroom. I'm your iSpark STEM coordinator with the CTE department. Happy learning!
Southeast because of the culture, the band program, and restorative justice.
I love Southeast because of the academics, sports, and students.
I love Southeast because of the people, the energy, and the advanced classes.
It's not alike. I love Southeast because the students here at Southeast are full of potential and they believe in achieving anything. We are Southeast. Southeast. We stand shoulder to shoulder.
Join the Southeast family. Enroll today.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists, and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dr. Jones again. As I told you last time we spoke, we're going to be talking about how we can go from a single cell to a large organism like a blue whale. Now, as always, we always go back to our standards. Now, here's the thing. The last time we met, we were here talking about the middle school portion of this, meaning how cells have various parts that help them carry on all of the characteristics of life. Now we're going to move to this next part that talks about the hierarchical organization. Basically, how is it that you go from a single cell to a multicellular organism? Now, let's talk about hierarchy, especially when we're talking about cells. So, about to date myself, but I used to play video games, heavy back in the day, but not like these. When we started getting fighting games, oh man, I guess I was like in college. And I remember seeing like Mortal Kombat. And I was like, wow, you got a video game that looks like a person? Lovely. It was like 75 cents a game. And back when, most video games cost a quarter, big money. Anyway, the point is, you don't just go from just the lower level, which, like the little peons, to the boss. There's like a path that you have to take. So for example, you got your little foot soldiers, easy kills, ain't no biggie. Then you have the ones that are a little bit more advanced, but still no problem. Then you hit your lieutenants. Once you start hitting lieutenants, that's when you like, okay, now I know what I'm doing. From your lieutenants, then you hit your captains. And then from your captain, chairman. Same thing. When you look at cells just don't jump from a single cell to a blue whale. There's a gradation, there's a stridation, there is a process by which you go more complex, more complex, more complex. So we're going to talk about that today. Now, again, cells are the smallest unit of life. And why are they the smallest unit of life? Because they carry on all of the functions of or characteristics of living things. Meaning, they have organization, they grow and develop, they process energy, they respond to stimuli or change in the environment. They carry on regulation or homeostasis. They reproduce and they're able to adapt. Now, let's talk about this. You have a single cell. How do you go from a cell to tissues? Well, here's the deal. A tissue is just a group of cells that have adapted to work together. All right? It's like this. Before Jordan got Scotty, and really before he got Horace Grant, he was a great basketball player. He wasn't winning, any championships. He needed a team around him. And what you find is that you'll have some cells that are very good by themselves, but they need to have a group of cells to be able to carry on a higher function. Those are called tissues. And we have 4 main types of tissues. All right? We have connective tissue, epithelial, muscle, and nervous. So let's talk about these each for a second. Connective tissue. Think about support. Okay? And here's what I mean about support. Back in the day, there used to be a show called In Living Color. Jamie Foxx was on the show. He had a character called Wanda. And one thing that Wanda was saying, and one thing that Wanda's catchphrase was, is, I got you. I got you. You need gas? I got you. You need money? I got you. You need some oxygen? I got you. You need to protect your lungs? I got you. And that's kind of what connective tissues do. They're your support. That I got you. Now, another type is epithelial. Now, think of epithelial more like protection. Skin. Another show, Martin. Character, Otis. Otis Supreme. Rich woman lover and a poor woman dream. Otis, he provides protection. He keeps things covered. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you get to muscular tissue, think about movement. And again, since we're in the 90s, didn't nobody move more than a hammer. Don't hurt them. Now, last but not least, nervous tissue. And when you think about nervous tissue, you think about thinking and feeling. Yeah, did I do that? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Now, we have tissues. How do we go from tissues to organs? Well, what is an organ? Well, think of an organ as just a group of tissues that, again, have gone through some kind of adaptation, and now they work together to do a specific task. Okay? I would say think of tissues like you would think of offense and defense on a team. Yeah, the offense does the scoring, the defense does the defending, but if you want to win championships, you got to be able to do both. There's plenty of teams, high-powered offense, but can't stop a flea. They ain't gonna win games. So, when you're looking at organs as they relate to tissues, here are some examples. First of all, when we look at connective tissues, and there's not very many organs that fall under this. Because a lot of people say, oh, blood. Well, blood's technically a tissue fluid kind of deal. But if you look at, like, joints, there's cartilage in joints. The purpose of the cartilage is to reduce the friction in the joints to help for movement. So you find that sometimes connective tissues help something else do its job. All right? In addition to that, your rib cage, that's protecting some vital organs. Those being your lungs, which help you take in oxygen, and then your heart, which pumps the blood around. Again, specific job, can't just be done by one, but it's a tissue system, right? Because bones have to grow. That means you have to have different parts of the bone that do different things. Let's go to the next one. Epithelial, remember, skin, all right? But besides skin, you find that your veins also are made up of epithelial tissue. And what do the veins do? Well, they allow the blood to travel to different parts of your body. They also allow us to have what's called a closed circulatory system instead of open circulatory system. Now, you may say, oh, wait. Open, closed, what are you talking about? Step on a bug. What happens? Crunch. That bad boy just immediately liquefies. Open circulatory system. God rest her soul, but my grandmother, she was a very stout woman. And I remember one time we were in the house and she was cooking in the kitchen, and I was like, "Oh, grandmother, there's a mouse." She said, "Wait, Phil." Bam! She just stepped on it barefoot. I was like, "Wow, you the most roguish woman I ever met. Just no problem." Now, when she picked the feather up, it wasn't like, you had just like a red splat. Nah, the mouse was dead. But the point is, all of its organs, all of its blood, it was still in the inside. You didn't have to see it. Unlike stepping on, like, again, a bug. Okay? Now, skin, I already talked about that. Here's the thing about skin. If you notice, the top layer, the cells are completely different than the bottom. Here's why. One side is for protection. The other side is for growth. The side that's for the growth is the side close to the blood, because again, you're going to be losing this. Okay? Think of it like this. Spending money, making money. Right. You spend money all the time. You may not know you're spending it, but you are. Which means you're not be making money all the time. That's hard. And then the last one is your small intestines. And again, the job of the small intestine, one, is to move food along, but two, to take those little particles and actually allow you to absorb them. That's the job. Right? Now, muscle tissue. Now, we already talked about movement, right? But let's talk about specific types of movement. Because everybody thinks, oh, skeletal muscles. Yeah. But understand that your stomach, that's a muscle. There's muscles associated with it because, you have to, like, move that food, those particles around. Everybody knows about the heart. Yeah. You don't pump blood, you're not going to live long. And then you got your biceps, your triceps, deltoids, shot. Now, nervous tissue. So when you talk about nervous tissue, again, it's kind of like connective tissue, where it's like one of these things that you don't really always see. And everybody thinks about the brain, and but you think about the brain, and you think about the mass of a brain, and you're like, well, is the brain a muscle? Not really. One that I want to bring your attention to is the spinal cord. Okay? Because everybody thinks about their back, and they think about, oh, I broke my back, or I hurt my back. But what's causing the pain, most likely, is that you have done something to your spinal cord. You ever heard somebody say, oh, I pinched a nerve? Yeah, that's the nerve that they're talking about. And it's not like one big nerve. It's a group of nerve cells. But your spinal cord is very, very important because that's how you process information. Meaning, if something happens to your spinal cord, not only don't you move, but a lot of times you don't feel things, which is one reason why if you ever see a movie and somebody's paralyzed, the first thing they say is, I can't feel my legs. That's why they can't feel their legs. Something happened to their spinal cord. Okay? Now, we have organ. Now we're going a little higher. Organ system. Now here's the thing. If cells work together to give you tissues, tissues work together to give you organs, organs working together gives you an organ system. Now, everybody is normally familiar with the 6. Not to be confused with the 7. Only if you're watching The Boys. Anyway, so the 6. Circulatory, nervous, respiratory, digestive, skeletal, muscular. But the 6 aren't the only ones. Actually, we got the big 12. Right. So, you got your digestive, you got your muscular, you have your skeletal. But then, you have integumentary, skin. You have reproduction, male and female. Lymphatic, that's when you start getting to your hormones. Yep. We already talked about your respiratory, but you got to get rid of the waste. Urinary system, all right? Also known as excretory system. Then you have your endocrine system, nervous, and then your circulatory. Now, here's the thing. All these systems do something for the body to help it stay alive. So, bring you full circle. Here is your blue whale with all of its systems, or at least majority of them. Here are our 7 criteria of life. Let's think about it. Organization. Oh yeah, this is definitely organized because remember, all cells are composed of what? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, plus some other things because all cells have those 4 biological molecules, those macromolecules, right? But even this is organized. I mean, if you think about it, the digestive system is here. You know, if you look at the way that you have your brain, spinal cord going on, so there's some organization there. Growth and development. Blue whales just don't start out this size. They have to grow into this size. How do they grow into that size? By producing cells, by those cells being differentiated to be like, oh, you're going to be a skin cell, you're going to be a blood cell, you're going to be a heart muscle cell, okay? Energy. Blue whales, will they eat krill? Does krill exist inside the blue whale? Nope. Does it have to get energy from the outside? Yep. Respond to the environment. If you notice, whales move around. Part of the reason that they move around is because you have a current. What does the current do? The current takes the food from place to place. How do they respond to that? They go from place to place. Regulation. All organisms have to regulate. One way that blue whales regulate is they take in oxygen, they release carbon dioxide. Yes. Reproduction. Well, you don't have to reproduce to have the potential to reproduce. Blue whales, regardless if they have calves or not, have the potential to reproduce. And then adaptation. If you've ever looked at any environmental books not environmental books, but evolutionary books, you know, they talk about the blue whales and how they were huge and how they were real big, and then some say, oh, they have a pelvic bone, which means they have like little legs. Well, long story short, these guys have adapted over time, just like we have. Okay? And so what you find is just like the cell had all of these characteristics of life, so does our blue whale. I hope that this has been very instructive. I hope that you come back again. And most importantly, I hope that you continue to do science. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.